Okay, I figured I'd come back for this is the end of the first year. That was a hell of a round. Blue got their asses handed to them in an incredibly horrific, harsh way. Gray made out very, very well, I gotta say. They're sitting with one, two, three, four, five prophecy tokens, which is great. I'm pausing. Where are we here? So we did the Destiny, we did the planting seeds, we did the rituals, which is what you saw at the end of the first video. Then we went around and did the harvest. So I'll give you a quick look at what that is to start with. So when you look at the harvest, what you're doing, I've turned over the ones that I did harvest just so I was keeping track as the game was going. For example, this is the beans here, or whatever this is. So you're counting this, 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 and this. So this is worth nothing. This is worth -1. That's now worth -3. +3 brings to 0. So for this particular crop, there was no movement. Where was the yes? This was the good example here for blue. Blue had a 3 plus 0, -3, -1. So sitting at a -1. If you end up in the negative when you're harvesting, you lose a victory point for each crop you're below 0. So in this case, -1, we dropped down 1 victory point. So everybody starts at 11 victory points. So we dropped down 1. Red had a crop that put them at -3. So that's why they're all the way down here with their victory points. So that's kind of how the harvest goes. I just did it each player. I looked at grays, then we went to blue, then we went to red, just to make sure I didn't confuse anything. So now you have all of these have moved all various directions on this particular tracking side of the board here. The next phase that you get to with the harvest is to feed and build villages. So as I said previously, you have to look at your crops and feed the villages that you already have on the board. In our case, every player had 3 villages on the board. Red was able to build a 4th one. Gray was able to build a 4th one. Blue couldn't actually feed all 3 of them. So when you can't feed them, however many villages end up kind of dying, you gain a death token, which is right over there, which is going to be negative points at the end of the game, or at least it was in the Sun. There might be a little bit of different rules with the Destiny side of the game. The next thing that we do after the harvest, or after feed and build the villages, you can also, I should do this as well too. As I said before, you have to spend your crops. You can't hold on to any. So if you're able to complete one of these options on here, you have to do it. You don't have a choice. And that goes with these Destiny chits here as well at the bottom. You have to spend those resources and complete as much of this as you can. So this is what we were left over right at the end of the game. If Gray would have had another Jaguar token, he could have then bought another Destiny, but there wasn't any more Jaguar for him, so he was unable to do anything else, which isn't horrible. He starts off with a couple of crops, which is great. Blue and red start off with 1 crop each in these 2 different categories here. So that's what you end up doing there. Then we get into the prophecies themselves. So I misspoke in that first half. When you look at the star chart, for every connecting star system that you have, so if I had, in this case, I've got the comet and red, you get a Destiny token for each of these that match up. I think Gray ended up getting 2 here. So again, that was the white star. So those 2 are beside each other, which means that's 1. And then these 2 were beside each other. So that means that's another 1 for the Gray player. So they ended up getting 2 prophecy tokens out of that. Each other player ended up getting 1. And I was just about to start the prophecy phase, and I thought I'd kind of check in. So once you've collected the prophecy tokens, again, it's going to go 1 player at a time. This is when we're going to be moving these 2 tokens up here. One goes this direction. This one goes this direction. This one will give you a value that you're going to get in victory points for each of your villages. This one's going to give you things like jaguars, prophecies, victory points, etc., all the way around. These ones over here, they'll change how many crops you get to track in a given month. And actually, I should have. Oh no, no, you start with 3. Yes, this gives you how many you can track. So if you get to here at the end of the next year, you're going to get to track not only the month that you're on, but the next 4 months as well. So in this case, just to illustrate it, you'd be able to count this one, this one, this one, this one, and that one. So all of these, instead of just these 4 here, you'd now get to do 5 of them, which isn't a bad thing at all. So let's see what the options are. You go 1 player at a time. Each of them cost different amount of prophecy tokens. So 1 action. So for 1 prophecy token, you can either advance on a village planning track or move the destiny marker. For a cost of 2 prophecy tokens, you can change your prediction. If players do not have prophecy tokens to spend, they cannot perform an action and must wait until the other players are finished with the phase. So for advancing on the village progress track, for the cost of 1 prophecy token, a player may advance 1 space forward on one of the village progress tracks. A player pays a prophecy token and moves his disc forward on one of the tracks. Discs cannot be pushed backwards on a track. So that's what Gray is going to do right out of the gate. So Gray is going to take one of their prophecy tokens, put it back in here, and Gray is going to advance this one here to the 3 space. So that means that each of his villages, when we start to track that, the next phase is going to be worth 3 each. So we're going to have 12 victory points right out of the gate there. Now we go to red. I want to see this move destiny marker. Let's just read this for a sec here. Okay, that's that. Move destiny marker. Players may also spend 1 prophecy token to move the destiny marker 1 space clockwise or counterclockwise on the glyphs around the calendar. So because I haven't played this yet, I'm not sure what the benefit of that is. I mean, I know that it's going to equate to points because, again, depending on the position of this, it's going to be different points for where you're set up there. I feel like at this stage of the game, though, blue is in a situation where they're going to need some victory points. So I think blue might end up doing the same thing. Or does blue track and move over to here? So what happens is, if the other thing I'll say is, let's say that blue's marker ends up going all the way to here. When it comes time to calculate this track, they get everything that they've passed as well as the space that they're on. So the benefit of moving forward is beneficial because you're going to be able to cash in on these as well too. From what I remember on my first read through, we'll double check that as we go. So I think blue will spend 1 of them. That'll go back. Blue only has 2 villages. Like I said, I think blue wants to go up to here. There are 2 village progress tracks the player invest in. Track to the right is that. Village track on the left-hand side of the calendar allows a player to earn more prophecy and jaguar tokens, increase in victory points, and can give the player special abilities in the new year. The following progress abilities are as follows, and then it gives you a breakdown of each one. When a player advances on his track, he will collect any of the prophecy and or jaguar tokens landed on or previously passed during the preparing for the new year phase. Any Mayan numbers, black dots, passed on the progress track are immediate victory points earned. The player earns victory points equal to the number of dots in the space. Okay, so it looks like you cash in on it right away. So for hunting party, which is where he was, earned jaguar token and prophecy token for the next year. So we're going to do that. We'll put those aside so we don't confuse them with what he's got going on now. So I'll kind of set those over there. And then he goes to here, which is 1 victory point, which is great. Puts him back on the number 11 spot. So that's fantastic. So I think that's what blue is going to do. We'll go to red. Red's got 4 villages as well. I think red is thinking the same thing. one prophecy token to move one spot there to collect those extra points. So that's kind of a look at that. I won't take you through every single decision on there, but that's kind of a look at what you do. And then the next phase is scoring the villages. Obviously, that's going to be based on where everybody is sitting over here. Then the final phase will be to prepare for the new year. Again, there's only 2 years in the Sun and the Destiny game. So the next year will be the final one. So that's it. Thanks very much. I might do another one and check in at the end of the game. We'll see how this wraps up here. But there's a look at wrapping up year 1 in Mayan Sun Aztec Destiny.